Welcome to this week's edition of the Comic Hero Show. I'm your host, Victor Nunley, and I am the Comic Hero. I have about three things to talk about. First off, ULM plays Arkansas State this Saturday. It's going to be the last home game of the season. And it's also going to be the last home game for a lot of seniors, whether you're on the football team like Colton Browning, our starting quarterback, or my good friend and kicker, Justin Mann. By the way, what's up, Justin? Um, and it's also going to be the last game for cheerleaders, members of the Hawk Line, and members of the Sound of Today. And it's going to be very heartfelt. I know it's going to be heartfelt for me because it's possibly going to be my last game too, if I pass my classes and pass the praxis. And not only that, but I understand that there are a lot of students and fans who are, and some alum, I mean, some alum and some teachers as well, who are also supporters of LSU or fans of LSU. And I understand that you would rather be home watching the game against Alabama, but come on, stay true to ULM. If you're a student, if you're a teacher, if you're a faculty member, if you're on staff, if you're an alum, if you're a fan, come out to Malone Stadium Saturday night. I mean, there's a lot riding on this game. Right now, the Warhawks are 5-4. They just beat Troy last Thursday, 49-37. If they win this, then they will have a better chance of going to a bowl. I mean, and not only that, they'll also have a 4-1 record in Sun Belt play. And we'll also have and if we win on the 23rd against South Alabama, and hopefully on the 30th when we play Louisiana Lafayette, we may win the Sun Belt. So I'm just encouraging anyone who's watching this. If you're a student of ULM, if you're a fan of ULM, if you teach at ULM, if you're on staff at ULM, if you graduated from ULM, come to the game. Anyway, Maroon on, Talons out. Okay, I want to speak briefly about the Richie Incognito, Jonathan Martin saga. I just want to bring you my whole take on it. The way I was raised to know what self responsibility is. And what I mean by that is taking responsibility for your actions, not somebody else's, or or owning up to something. Okay, Richie Incognito has had behavior problems that go back to a decade back at his times at the University of Nebraska. I mean, when he after he got drafted by the St. Louis Rams, he got kicked off the team for arguing with the head coach. And not only that, there was a game where I was watching where he costed the Rams a game in overtime because he was arguing with the referee, and they got flagged for it. I really do believe that he was doing all that bullying that Jonathan Martin pretty much accused him of doing, and it's wrong. However, Jonathan Martin should not have left the team. The way I was brought up is that you don't walk away from your problems. You don't you don't just slash your wrist and say I'm done. I can't take this anymore. What he should have done, he should have went to him and been like, "Hey, Richie, all the stuff that you were doing is all the way you've been treating me. You shouldn't have done this. We're grown men. We're on the same team. This is pointless. This has to stop." And of course, if Incognito would have like told him to told him where to go or something like that, then well then You're gonna have to go sock him in the mouth or something. But I think both of them are in the wrong because he shouldn't have done. Incognito shouldn't have done that, and Martin at the same time shouldn't have left because that made him look bad all of a sudden. All right, that's that. And okay, Friday, Thor: The Dark World comes out in theaters. I am so pumped about this movie. You have no idea. And I found out earlier when I was over at Clint's Comics that there's going to be a midnight showing for it tomorrow night, going into Friday morning for it. I'm going to see it. I'm going at that time. And not only that, I want to form a group of people along with me to go over to Tinseltown in West Monroe to see Thor: The Dark World. This is going to be a great movie. We about a year and a half ago, some friends and I that I was in band with over at that I'm in SOT with over at ULM. We formed a group to go see Avengers, and it was awesome. I want to do the same thing with Thor: The Dark World. So if you happen to be in the West Monroe area, you don't have to be in SOT. If I know you personally, if you're friends with me on Facebook and meet me, come on, let's make it happen. I'm serious. This is from what I've read about the movie. Is going to be yet another box office smash from Marvel. So come on, let's make it happen. All right, enough of that. Let's get to the comics I bought today. Oh, by the way, by the opening graphic that you saw at the beginning of the show, I have you saw the road to 6,000, and I don't have that far to go. So anyway, Superman Unchained #4 is up first. This is in this issue, Lex Luthor is pretty much pulling the strings of Superman, Wonder Woman, and just about anybody in the Justice League, only because he's Lex Luthor and he's a baddie. Enough said. And this is a great book. Great writer Scott Snyder and a living legend at artist Jim Lee. I mean, Jim Lee has penciled books like X-Men, Batman, and even penciled indie books as well. It's a great book, and I can't wait to read it. All right, next up is Action Comics #25. And this one is a tie-in to the 0 Year story arc that's going on in Batman. And it pretty much talks about the first Superman and Batman's first encounter with each other. And that's like they call those two the world's finest. And I think this is the first encounter between the two. Great brother relationship, by the way. All right, and up next is Green Lantern #25. This is the fallout from the Lights Out story arc. I haven't read Green Lantern Annual #2, which is the conclusion of it, but I'm about to after the show's over, and I'll let y'all know what happens in the annual and in this issue. Up next is Detective Comics #25. This also is a 0 Year tie-in with the 0 Year story arc going on in Batman. And this also talks about, Commissioner Gordon's first encounter with Batman. And one thing about Commissioner Gordon, he's always had his back, he's always had Batman's back. But at the beginning, it wasn't like that. I mean, Batman had to gain Commissioner Gordon's trust a good deal. All right, and up next is a new book that just came out called Amazing X-Men #1. Oh, check out this cover. It's double covered. And if you could If you see by the cover, it features Nightcrawler. Now, Nightcrawler is a character who was killed in a story arc called in the X-Men crossover story arc called Messiah Complex. And but in this first issue of this book, the X-Men, or should I say Wolverine's side, the rational side I like to call it, they find out that Nightcrawler is somehow alive. So he assembles a group to go find him and bring him back to Westchester. And Nightcrawler's always been one of my favorite characters. Not just favorite X-Men, my favorite characters overall, because even though he's half demon, he's also a very religious person. And you don't find that very much in comics. You don't find very religious people in comics anymore. But I believe Nightcrawler, to me, has always been one of those characters that I don't know. I mean, he kind of sets a standard for morality as far as I'm concerned. All right, up next is Mighty Avengers #3. This is a tie-in to the Infinity miniseries that's going on in Marvel that pretty much well mainly involves the Avengers. And meanwhile, back on Earth, the new character comes. I don't know who this is, but you know what? Let me find out right now. Oh, you know what? I'm not even going. You know what? I'm not even going to do that. I don't know who it is. I don't know who this is, but I'll find out soon enough when I read this book. All I know is some old guy. All right. Up next is Iron Man #18. This is Iron Metropolis and yeah, Iron Metropolitan, and it's the fallout from the secret origin of Tony Stark story arc that happened in the previous issues of Iron Man, and after the events that happened, Iron Man's life is forever changed. He found out that his whole life has been pretty much a lie. Well, not his whole life, but the like when he was conceived or before he was born. All right. Next up is Captain America #13, and judging by the cover, all I gotta say is Captain America versus Nuke. As Bubba Sparks once said, it's gonna get ugly in here, up in here, up in here. And next up is Captain Marvel #17. This is also the last issue of this volume. Um, Captain Marvel, aka Carol Danvers, comes back to Earth and finds out that she has a she's gained a huge following in New York, and not only New York but all over the country. And she's pretty much trying to get to know everyone. I don't think Carol. I don't think Captain Marvel's not going to die or anything. She's going to remain in the pages of the Avengers books. Sometimes when the one thing I learned is when you're a superhero and sometimes when your books don't sell very well, chances are it'll get canceled, but they'll probably put you in another book, preferably a team book. And I think this is what they're doing with Captain Marvel. However, there is going to be a new Ms. Marvel that I read about, and she's also a this Ms. Marvel is different. She has different powers from Captain Marvel, and not only that, but she's of uh, a different ethnicity. She's actually Muslim. I'm still undecided on whether I'm going to read that book, but right now I don't think I am. All right, next up is, or should I say, lastly, is Forever Evil #3. I just read Forever Evil numbers 1 and 2, and This one pretty much centers around the crime syndicate, which is the polar opposite of the Justice League. They're from a parallel universe, and they've come to Earth to pretty much shape the Earth the way they want it to be. And the first thing they do is they pretty much beat the living daylights out of the Justice League. Then they go around all the um, all the prisons that were holding supervillains and unleash that. But there's one person who does not like what's going on, and would you believe it's Lex Luthor? And in this one, we also witnessed the origin of this version of Bizarro, which is the polar opposite of Superman. Instead of heat vision, Bizarro has ice vision, and instead of super ice breath, Bizarro has super. I mean, instead of super ice breath, Bizarro has super fire breath. All right, that was 10 comics that I bought today, which brings the total up to 5,980.
Are you man enough, big and bad enough?
I just want to say once again thank you to everybody who wished me a happy birthday last Saturday. All the wall messages on Facebook, all the text messages I got on my phone, all the phone calls that I got, and also, and Mary, if you're watching, I want to thank you for the birthday card that you mailed me. Haven't read it yet because it's at my mom's house, but I will read it this weekend. I promise. All right. As always, if you have any suggestions at all, please let me know. Let me know on Facebook. Let me know on YouTube. Let me know on Meet Me. Let me know my email address, comic_hero_VN at yahoo.com. That's all I have for this week. So until then, I'm Victor Nunley. I'm the Comic Hero. See you next week. Till then, be safe, be blessed, be a hero.